going to see you.
It was weird. It was just kind of strange the way that played up. All I saw was a Dominic Robinson thing, which is great. But but I didn't see a Jeff Cameron show link. Now we're in and we're good. And I see people are already here in the Heisen Lincoln Law Firm chat room, which is great. Hey, I have an update on our situation in North Carolina.
Ooh, do tell. That seems to be the hot button topic today.
No decision from the bench. The judge is going to take everything under advisement and will make a decision, as he says, in the very near future. By the way, you want a good sign. You want a sign that things are going well on Florida State's behalf. The ACC started their argument by putting on a PowerPoint with only the word integrity on the opening slide, and then spent 10 minutes not discussing the issues at stake, but talking about integrity and accountability. The judge was not amused. In fact, the judge hated it. So that's a good start. That's a good start for Florida State. We're not going to come out swinging about the issues at hand. We're going to lecture you about the definition of integrity. That's what we're doing here. Call it a day, gang. Call it a day.
Well, here's the hard part, though, is you're playing a road game, and so you need a couple of turnovers early to get the mojo going, take the crowd out of it. I think the integrity slide may have taken the crowd out of it a little bit, but as I understand it, we started, and we were a prepared bunch, judging by what I've seen by Rohan on Twitter. It seemed like whatever questions the judge was presenting based upon case law in North Carolina or precedent or terminology, we were ready for the answer, and we had an answer. Whether or not it's good enough for a judge to consider and rule in our favor is another matter altogether. But it seemed like we came to this proceeding really ready to go. And kudos to the legal team and kudos to the university for empowering a proper legal team to be able to argue on their behalf.
Again, it's interesting. FSU's motion to dismiss is being considered. I do feel pretty good about it, especially because the judge, by the way, also, in reading my notes, lectured the ACC as to whether they had standing to bring this suit, as they did not vote prior to the filing. ACC's argument was basically, in North Carolina deference, is given to the organization as to what the terms of its bylaws mean, so they, not the judge, get to decide what material litigation means. The judge then made the argument that, well, if you're asking me to accept that as true, why would any dispute come before the court? And the term material is a contract term, which the ACC could have defined in the bylaws, but didn't. So they couldn't decide, if they were going to do that, couldn't they just decide after the fact that it favors them and define it that way? So the judge basically was like, nah, man.
So as I understand it in the blow-by-blow, the ACC said, yeah, well, we have a material responsibility, or we have an obligation. I don't want to use legal terms. We have an obligation to protect ourselves and protect ESPN, which is why we filed a lawsuit first, because they had to explain. Basically, the judge says, explain yourselves. And this is why we filed a lawsuit first. We did take a vote for the amended complaint, which we believe ties into the whole thing. And so therefore it covers us for maybe not taking a vote in December, which is a terrible admission on their part. And I don't know, once again, if the judge might buy that or not. Again, it's a proceeding taking place in a different state.
The court of law goes anyway. We don't know. I'm not going to guess here. I just think it kind of went well. I feel pretty good. I'm just going to tell you that. I feel pretty good. I had lawyers tell me to feel pretty good today. So I'll just leave it at that, because I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know. I have no idea which way this is going to go or what means what. I just listened to what they said and then jotted notes and paid close attention to what the judge said, and that's my deduction.
Yeah, I was told in the seventh inning the course is going to get dismissed. To who? For what? I don't know.
I'm gonna continue down the path of good news here, and that is that yesterday was another good practice, Tom, and I'll give you my thoughts here to start the show. Obviously, folks that are members of Warchant.com and subscribe to Warchant TV have had a chance to see the Q&As with the players and coaches, and Coach Norvell, and you've probably by now read the observations and heard certainly Corey and Aslan's thoughts and all that good stuff too. I'll give you mine. It continues to be about I think it continues to be about the speed at wide receiver. It's the thing that stands out every practice right now. Um, it's hey, listen, I think it should be noted because we spend a lot of time on the newcomers, and why wouldn't we? I mean, we get excited about these caliber of players that transfer in. When you bring in Alabama players and you bring in a Georgia player and you bring in a LSU player, you're going to want to see what they look like, and you're going to get excited to hear about the write-ups and with the athleticism and all the things that they do. But you've got some veteran players here and some guys that are second-year players here that are due to step up as well. And if they do, this team could be really good. And one of those players is Destin Hill. And we wondered, who was going to emerge as a superstar receiver in that room or somebody that you would look to and could depend on. I think Destin Hill has taken a big step through the first couple of practices that we've observed. It could just be, Tom, that he's finally, he's healthy. We haven't seen him healthy on a football field since like week 2 last year. So being reminded of that speed and watching that on display, I mentioned after the first practice, and I came on with you, that he had a 90-yard touchdown, and he did. And he had another one yesterday. And, I mean, he is flying. This guy can go, and he's healthy, and he's making plays. And so, early on, of the veteran players that are coming back that you need to step forward, on the offensive side, I'm going to point to him. I'm going to tell you that he's been the sharpest of the bunch early on.
Yeah, the problem with the Orange Bowl, we all know, you're in the fog of everything. There's opt-outs left and right. You might not remember that Destin Hill looked pretty fresh and explosive in that game against Georgia secondary. And if you don't, as a fan out there, I don't blame you. It was a tough day. It was a tough thing to watch. But when you see how that speed plays against the best of the best, you know that Destin can be everything that, the hype says that he could be. My question to you is, if he looks the sharpest, that means what? His route running looks good too? He's clean out of his breaks, the details of that kind of stuff? Or are we talking straight ahead speed?
Straight ahead speed mostly, but he's also catching the football with great consistency. There's no he's making tough catches. He's making the easy catches. He's just consistently catching the ball. He's also open more than everybody else. I mean, that's the thing. He's running away from people.
That's a good trait. Being open is a good trait.
It speaks to that speed because this group in the secondary is going to be a strength of the team. I think it probably will be the best unit on the field for Florida State this year. Will be some combination of the guys we're currently talking about on a daily basis is going to make up the strength of this football team in that secondary. They just have too many people, too many options, too many really talented, long, athletic, fast, a lot of 6'2", 6'1", 6'3" DBs that can go. And that is a problem if you're an opposing offense because you've got handsy dudes who are strong that can flip their hips, get inside your pocket, and go. I saw a lot of that down the field yesterday. And to be sure, and I don't, some of this is on film, so I don't think I'm giving away trade secrets here. They are going to throw the deep ball. If these early practices are any indicator, they're going to throw the deep ball. And I'm pumped about that. Somebody yesterday in the chat said, yeah, but weren't we mad about jump balls last year? They're only jump balls when you can't get separation. They're only jump balls when guys are not open, but rather covered, having to go make a play on a football that's a 50-50 ball. Now, luckily, you had a player who's really adept at that, who's a physically gifted player who also happened to play basketball at Michigan State, so he's got hops, and he could go up and high point it and push people off the ball. But separation changes what you describe that play as. It's no longer a jump ball. That's just a bomb. We're just going downtown, and that dude's open.
I really enjoyed yesterday the post-practice interviews, well, all of them, but specifically DJU and Tony Tokarz, because they're talking about each other in a lot of those questions. He's talking about the offense, DJ is, and the communication level that he can have now with the helmet communication. Tony Tokarz is, he's deciding, I think as an offense, they're deciding how much they want to tell quarterbacks until the clock runs out of 15, because, again, you could call a play, but I believe the rule in college is 15 seconds like it is in the NFL where the communication cuts off. So if you can get to the line of scrimmage quick enough, the coach could basically have a conversation with you before it starts. Now, remember this. Here's your check here. Here's what they're doing over there. I just love the concept of that. Every offense is going to have that, so it's not like we have a distinct advantage over anybody else. But DJ's mind pre-snap, he understands where to go with the football. He understands what defenses are doing, late changes from a defense in terms of their looks. He understands how to flip his head from one half of the field to the other. So if you can add to his football intelligence with that type of conversation with a coach before the snap, that gets me really giddy, because you combine those things with the speed of the receivers and hopefully an improved offensive line that could pave the way for a ground game. You're talking about a lot of deep shots, a lot of one-on-one matchups that are more than obvious. And the great thing about that is it speeds up the learning curve for somebody who's in their first year in the offense. That you can have that helmet communication allows for some mistakes to be made that a coach can clean up. Whereas before, you'd have to look over to the sidelines and hope that the signal comes in so you could be bailed out. All of these things seem to be conspiring together to be explosive. It all depends on how good the offensive line is.
Noel, Dad, I don't think I've ever seen anybody on par with Jameis Winston as far as the football acumen goes. I don't know that there's ever been a player to come into this system and or into big-time college football and have as much knowledge as the intricacies of the game and the complexities of Jimbo's offense and a complete understanding of it in year one. I say that because Jimbo Fisher told me that. He had never been around another player who understood the complexities of football and the nuance of an offense as quickly as Jameis Winston did. No player that he had ever been around, that he had ever coached anywhere at any point.
Yeah, that would be tough for DJU to live up to. But the thing is, in Mike Norvell's time here, he's had one quarterback who was developed heavily to become the smart football player that he was. And Alex Atkins will tell you that when it comes to checks, protections, run checks, things like that, Jordan was operating within the offense basically at an A level. 90% of the time, you put him in the right plays. DJ has been built for this since he was a little kid. The idea of quarterbacking is, that's ingrained in who he is as a football player. The whole thing with DJ, and I saw in our observations by Corey that it happened yesterday, he knows where to go with the ball. He's on time with the ball. It's just he misses. Sometimes he misses.
Hey, listen, that's probably who he is. We've seen him play a ton of football. I don't think that guy's suddenly going to be, pinpoint accurate with every throw based on that's his weakness. There's no perfect player. And when you go and you look at guys, you'll say, well, this is a weakness. Jameis, the left side of the football field, he lost people on the left side of the football field. He did it in college and he did it in the NFL big time. He would just not see a linebacker to his left on the regular. How many games did we watch, Tom, where you'd be like, Jesus, man, you threw it right to that dude.
Jameis, you play Kuechly twice a year in Carolina.
And you throw him the ball every time.
I promise you he's there.
Yeah.
He knows where to be. Until he quit, he played every play. Until he was done with football, concussions knocked him out of it. He's there. So let's just cross that off the whiteboard. And let's not operate in that. Any route that enters this area is not an option. It's not really a route. It's not a thing. It's for show. That's all for show. Anywhere else other than this area here on the whiteboard, and we're good.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Do I see a path for DJU to play his way into being a first-round pick? No. Not likely. I don't think so. I think accuracy issues are alarming to people, especially when it happens in a college offense. So maybe I guess I shouldn't say no, because look, man, we got to look at the class that comes out next year, and every organization. I'm going to talk myself into this now, Tom. I probably gave you the wrong answer, because here's the deal. If J.J. McCarthy can be a first-round pick, I suppose DJU could be. I'll put it that way. You got J.J. McCarthy going to go in the top 15 picks this year, some people say. Then I'm wrong. That means that people are hard up for quarterbacks, and they will. Yeah, maybe he could be. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say he might not just be a first-round pick. He could be a lottery pick. He'd be a top 10 pick, depending upon who you're listening to here. And we've had guys like Trubisky that go in the top 5 in the past.
Right. That organization, and we've seen. Look at the Giants. Daniel Jones. We just saw it. I mean, Mac Jones, I guess the jury's still out on him because he had a good first year and it went downhill after that, and he didn't really have receivers to throw to, but we watched him in college and we were like,
yeah. Our poor mutual friend Bill, he's like, they're going to draft Daniel Jones. And we're like,
oh,
no,
that's
they're
one of
not.
my favorite moments of the draft party ever.
No, they're not. And then
They're not going to do that, and then they did that.
They did. The thing I'd say is the accuracy is the most important thing here, because NFL franchises, at least from what I've seen, if you have low accuracy, then you've got to have high mobility. And DJ doesn't have high mobility. Like, they're willing to take a chance on an Anthony Richardson with some accuracy issues because that dude is a freak of an athlete and he's got the cannon for the arm. Josh Allen could run at incredible speeds. Like, again, guys that they take early on that have accuracy issues tend to be able to run for 500 plus yards in a season. And that's not DJ's game. So that number's got to come up to the mid 60s, I think, for him to have a crack at it.
Well, James has got a good point in here. He said if they get that accuracy up, he's saying it's over 68%. Well, okay, that would be a hell of a thing.
Get ready for the national championship. If he throws for 68%, get ready. We're going to be playing in that game. We're going to win that game.
Yeah, by the way, some of that is, again, Mike's quarterback's friend. But I don't, if he completes 68% of his passes, he will get drafted in the first round, because the other part of that is he is prototype in that he's 6'5", 250 pounds. You don't have to worry about him getting hit the way some of these other guys do, where you think they're going to get broken. You got a couple quarterbacks in the league right now where you're really nervous about them getting hit repeatedly. Look at Tua's situation. You know, you feel like he's one hit away from a career being over at this point. And some of these smaller guys that get drafted, you're kind of teams aren't in love with that unless they do something really special. He's a big dude, so he's just got to be pretty good with the football, and he's got a chance because of that prototypical size. Bryce Young, by the way, Jesus. You watch that guy take the field, he's like a child. When he jogged onto the field for Carolina this year, I was like, oh, no. This is problematic. He looks like a little kid.
Dad, what's the kicker doing out there? It's first down.
He looks like a kicker. It's crazy. You know, like even shorter quarterbacks, like obviously we got one in Tampa, but he's thick. You look at him, he's a thickly built dude. Like you look at him and you go, he's small, but he looks like, short in stature, but he's thick. He doesn't look like he's going to get broken if you hit him, right? Bryce Young is both short and skinny. He looks breakable. He also looked terrible. In addition to being breakable, he was terrible. There was a lot to be alarmed about. Imagine walking into that stadium this year if you're a Carolina fan and you're in Charlotte, up and coming city, feeling good. Let's go see our first round pick at the most important position on the field. Good God, we drafted a middle schooler to play NFL football. This sucks.
That reminds me of some of the first practices in the Willie era. And I talked to a mutual friend of ours in the media. I'm like, so what do you think of these practices? Because they're very different from Jimbo's. And this guy goes, a lot of standing around. I don't think he was willing to admit that we were in trouble just yet. But he goes, a lot of standing around. I don't know.
You know, we've all been there, where the thing that we wanted to like, or the thing that we thought we were going to like, or the thing that we were excited for very early, like it's a book or it's a movie or it's an album, you know, and you put it on, you're like, yeah, I don't know about the first two there. Well, we'll see. Maybe, that's what you do. Like, it's your favorite band, and you put that record on, you're like, all right, I have been waiting. Here we go. And then you hear that first one. You're like, okay, all right. Let's see here. Let's see. And you get 3 or 4 in. You're like, ooh.
I felt that way.
No.
I felt that way. It actually isn't that bad. And that sounds like what the apologist fan would do.
Yeah.
The most recent St. Paul album that came out.
Oh, yeah. I did the same thing. I was like,
I don't know what he's going for yet.
Let's see if we...
I did pre-order the special vinyl for this, so
come on, we need a little something.
I don't play that album very often, but it went from F- to all right, it's a C. But yeah,
it's not good is what it is. It's not that good.
it'll ruin your day though. That kind of stuff. They get to track 6, you're like, oh no.
So I remember, so back in the day, buying records and buying tapes and later CDs and all that stuff, you waited for the release date. You got so excited, and you would go and you'd wait in line if it was your favorite band, if they were a big band anyhow, and you were excited. And I remember being pumped as a kid for the Police's Synchronicity to come out. And I was waiting, and it came out. And I remember putting that album on. I was like, oh no, I don't like this. This is not right. I was so mad. I was so crestfallen. And I dropped the needle, and I was, no. Now later, I kind of came around to it. I think it was a little over my head. I was young. But yeah, I remember, no, just being so mad. You want to break it.
Well, I call that the Gangs of New York effect. I saw Gangs of New York in the theaters. The first movie I saw legally, rated R, didn't need a parent to come with me at 17 years old. So
you had heard so much because it's a Scorsese film, and those actors are those actors, and you're like, okay.
I hated it. And I realized later in life I was too young.
That's good.
I was too young to get it. The more I watch it now, the more I see it. Then we're like, oh, you were just too young. Wasn't meant for you. Wasn't made for you. Right. There's some music like that has the Gangs of New York effect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It happens. By the way, some of the greatest albums that you and I have had conversations about, and some of the best albums in my collection, and I have thousands of records, are albums that, upon first listen, went over my head. I was just like, I don't know. I don't dislike it. I just don't get it. And then it kind of went back. There's a couple Wilco records like that. The first time I ever listened to Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, I was like, I don't know. But like within a month, I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
It takes some time.
Yeah, big time, because I learned them when I met you, and so I went backwards. So I heard their more jammy stuff. I'm like, all right, this has got some moves. And then I listened, what is this experimental nonsense? Why don't you go play this at the MoMA? This is boring.
Keith, you're right. I did. You're right. It wasn't Ghost in the Machine, nor Regatta de Blanc, or Outlandish Day Amore. It wasn't those records. And so, yeah, because the very first time I ever listened to Outlandish Day Amore, I loved it. The first time I ever listened to Regatta de Blanc, I loved it. The first time I ever listened to Ghost in the Machine, I loved it. But yeah, I was like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this synchronicity. I have to listen to it again, maybe a little bit later. See what happens. That's also, by the way, a really good feeling. When a band you love puts out a record and you don't like it, and you're like, oh, I'm getting worried. And then you listen to it a second time, you're like, but then like all of a sudden it clicks on that fourth or fifth listen. You're like, oh, this is awesome. I was wrong. You got me. Well done, you sons of bitches. You got me. That was good. I thought this stunk. It's great. It's great. It's a good feeling. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Oh my God, what happened to you? You're walking so crooked.
Well, I was walking my alligator and I tripped on a cypress knee and I spilled my margarita.
Oh my gosh, your margarita.
I blown my back completely out. I had to ride the alligator home. I don't know what to do. My back's killing me.
You're such a Florida man. You should know you should go to Finn Chiropractic.
Really?
You can go to their website and book an appointment and get you in as soon as possible. Go to finnchiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com.
You mean 24 hours a day I can make my appointment online and pay for it?
Yep, right on their website.
Wow, and it's discounted?
Yeah.
All right, that's what Florida man needs to do.
No lines, no waiting. Visit fenchiro.com to book your next appointment with a discount. FENNCHIRO.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com. It's Fen Chiropractic, where the chiropractors love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hold my beer. I'm going to Finn Chiropractic.
You probably already know that Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is your one-stop destination for all pool maintenance needs, offering everything you need from chemicals, cleaners, vacuums, nets, and more. But that's not all. Pinch a Penny also carries a huge selection of premium hot springs hot tubs paired with easy financing options, making these everyone. And if you have an older hot tub and you're worried about the hassle of removing it, worry no more. Pinch a Penny will not only remove and haul away your old hot tub, but also offer a trade-in value for a credit towards your new one. So why wait? Visit Pinch a Penny's 12,000 square foot showroom today on Greer Road and discover how effortless and affordable owning a fantastic hot tub can be. Find out more at TallahasseeHotSpring.com. That's TallahasseeHotSpring.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com.
Very bad, Perry. You got to be kidding me with that. 1-4 in the last 5 years at the NCAA tournament. Oakland, really? This time it's a 14 seed, 80-76. Now, this is one of those cases where a team trees, in particular, a guy, Golke, who just decides, get you some off the bench with 10 threes. They go 15 of 31. That'll hurt your feelings if you're a Kentucky fan, who, by the way, was 9 of 28. Slight difference there. But that's what you get. What I was thinking about was, basketball lends itself to this a little bit. It's a one-and-done tournament. A bad night matched up against an incredible night, and you're out of the tournament. That's why you have to criticize not the singular game, but the bulk of the issue here, which is winning one time in the NCAA tournament with NBA players in the last 5 years. Like, hey, I got it. Somebody shoots the lights out on your ass in a given night. It's a toughie. It's a toughie. That's the problem with a truncated tournament. It can happen. Tough day at the office, you lose. But not as frequently as it's happening with that particular program and that level of player. And so that's why I knock him, and I think it's comical. But I also wonder sometimes, Tom, in the modern game anymore, I mean, I think we're going to redefine what a good coach is. I just think you're not building programs the way you used to. You're not building what is unique to you And what is special about you? Like the game passed Ham by because this is now an NIL era.
Well,
This
yeah.
isn't about culture. You're not creating, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he mentioned that plus the reliance on the transfer portal. Yeah, I think at this point, you could say it in football to a degree, but there's more development that's necessary for the human body as a true freshman. So you might have somebody stick in a program like in the trenches, let's say, for multiple years. In college basketball specifically, are you a reloader? Can you do that every offseason?
Yeah.
Can you have it's almost like having a world championship team or an Olympic team every year. You're going to be together for a brief period of time. The players constantly change or they age out depending upon what competition you're talking about internationally. And so I've got to be the guru who can take you guys, put you together for 6 months, make you as good as I possibly can, but I'm not going to develop you over 3 or 4 years. That might be a quarter of my roster, but 75% of my roster, if I'm operating at that level, is going to turn over within a year or two.
Yeah, and good point here, Hawaii Noel. Yeah, everybody's got NIL now. Well, we don't, but when it comes to basketball. But yeah,
that's why these lawsuits and these rulings are very important.
This is why we're trying to get out of where we're getting out of. Yeah, but it is fascinating. You got to have a guy that can mix and match personalities and win the transfer portal and have create a completely different way of winning. It's going to be fascinating. I talk about redefining who you are as a coach. That's a young man's business. That's having to change on the fly is not something that 65-year-olds do real well. 75-year-olds, 70-year-olds, 65-year-olds. I mean, by the time you reach that age, you've been coaching for 40 plus years. You are who you are. You're not changing, and you have to have a requisite energy to do that. I think the Ham 2.0 thing is an amazing. We bore witness to something amazing because it doesn't happen that somebody that age just changes who they are and the way that they coach. He did. He won't be able to do it again. We all know that. It's over.
He doesn't have the resources to do it either. And that's not me arguing that he should be given 5 more years to get the resources. I'm just saying that this is poor timing. This is terrible timing. And there might have been something to us getting either a discount from certain players to a degree, just even if it's small, those little things can add up, or a greater fervor out of the basketball base, what little base there is that wants to donate a lot of money. If 2020 could have been seen through to the end, if you have that Final Four banner, if you go all the way,
and they might have, they were that kind of good.
Make the game or win the game that determines who the national champion is. Like if you go that far, then perhaps people are willing to part. But you come out of COVID, there's like 500 people in the stands because there are restrictions. So there's no connection that next year. And by the time people are ready to show up in droves, and the students were, like the students have a lag effect, as you notice. Because when they got here the last 3 or 4 years, we were basketball, not football. So they're still showing up to basketball games only to watch us go pew. And that's unfortunate timing. And Leonard's had a lot of that in his career, but he's also had a lot of great moments. It's just that right now, I think we're stuck in neutral. I don't know that a new face is going to do anything for us in the moment because we don't have the resources. That's where we need to get to the power two.
Yeah, get out of here. I don't know how Bucky McMillan did what he did. The Samford coach did not criticize the officials last night when a foul was called on A.J. Staten-McRae after he blocked a dunk by Nick Timberlake. When you watch the replay, it is as clean a block as you can make. It is actually a thing of beauty to block in that manner with those. I mean, that's the kid attacked the rim the right way, and to come from behind and make that block is absolutely electrifying. It should have gone down as perhaps one of many great plays down the stretch that allowed for a massive upset. But instead, a foul's called because Timberlake grabbed the rim and couldn't hold on and fell hard to the ground. And the ref trailing the play decided he didn't like to see that. He thought it looked like it hurt, so he called a foul. There was none. There was no foul. It's a horrible, horrible call. It's awful. And it makes me sick. And I don't know how in the world a coach doesn't lose it. But he didn't. And he repeatedly said, that's how – well, I'll read you his quotes directly. That's how close the game was. That's how well our guys played. We were down 22. We're going to have the ball there with a great opportunity, but it is what it is. That's the closest he came to criticizing it. He went on to say, I've seen the play. I thought we made an incredible play, but I'm not going to fault the call. People sometimes see things differently. Yeah, man, they do. It doesn't mean that they're right. That guy blew it. Now, you can say, look, I'm not going to get on the officials. It was bang, bang play. He thought he saw something. We slow it down and replay. It's pretty obvious he got all ball, but these things happen. It's unfortunate. You know? I mean, I think that's what I would do. I think that's like where I would go if I didn't want to criticize the officials. But instead, this is where we're at. You know, I mean, it's amazing to me that he was able to do it. I couldn't have done it because they're not. I mean, think about that opportunity. How that's squandered because of that call. That's crazy. Kansas moves on. Didn't deserve to. Didn't deserve to.
Didn't deserve to, I think, is that's their athletic department mantra in basketball. Didn't deserve to. Kansas basketball.
Well, at the end of the day, it was a fun game to watch, and we saw some crazy endings yesterday, and this is what it is for the tournament. We love this. It still packs a wallop. It's still fun to watch. It's still something to embrace and get excited about. It's not the same as it once was. It never will be. I fight sometimes nostalgia with that stuff, Tom. I don't know if I'm clinging to the 1984 me as a 12-year-old sitting in front of a TV, you know, and watching a game, or 13-year-old sitting in front of a TV watching a game, where it kind of changed my view of sports and how excited I was. You know, am I longing for that, or am I being a curmudgeon because I don't love it the way I used to, or is that just the I guess the way the evolution of the game being less collegial?
Yes. I think the answer is yes. It just, you don't have characters, and rosters were characters. And I'm not talking about coaches. I'm talking about rosters. There was a way it was done. Duke, love him or hate him, was going to shoot a ton of threes before that was the thing. And they weren't going to have a ton of post players that, you know, were going to litter the NBA with centers. Like, they weren't coming from Duke. That Duke was a different thing than North Carolina was, than Indiana was when they were actually relevant. Then, you know, some teams out west were. Gonzaga, the last time college basketball had personalities, Gonzaga was a darling and a Cinderella. But I mean, it's a long time ago that the Adam Morrisons of the world existed.
I miss the days of slowly growing to hate somebody over a number of years.
Right.
The building hatred of an individual over 2 and 3 years on a roster made up the storylines, right? That the entire groupings of people that you were like, I don't know how I feel about that guy. You know, I'm really beginning to hate that guy. You know, that guy can go to hell. That's how you did it over the course of 3 years.
Grievous Vasquez, my man.
Oh, buddy.
Grievous Vasquez, Joakim Noah. Yeah. So those guys, you got to know them. And you didn't like him the first time. They're like, this guy again? Okay. All right. Then they're running out of the tunnel at the Civic Center. And even if it was 1,000 strong and I was one of them, you're yelling at that guy because you know who he is. His reputation precedes him because you watched him twice before. It doesn't happen anymore. So now you're watching brackets and you're watching gambling, and my gambling system didn't work out this year. I didn't get an answer back. So I watched hockey last night, and Bruins-Rangers was a great game.
Gotta watch the tournament, Tom. Come on, buddy. You gotta watch. What are you doing? Just because you can place bets still.
I checked in. I watched maybe 20 minutes of it across the day.
Oh, you missed some great games. Hey, I won some money on NC State last night. Won some money by a half point with Long Beach State. Won some money with North Carolina, buddy. Let's go.
I couldn't believe the Dayton comeback. Couldn't believe that. When I turned off that game and I went to have dinner. I mean, there's 15 minutes to go. They're down.
It was a 24-4 run.
I mean, it didn't look like they were capable of scoring 24 points. That was crazy. Couldn't believe that final.
Yeah, I'll be back at it again today, along with the Valspar. It's a great weekend to gamble. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Local news now.
Tallahassee police are searching for a suspect in connection to a shooting on Lake Bradford Road, according to a department watch commander. A man was shot at about 6:30 p.m. at the Tony Mart convenience store on the 1700 block of Lake Bradford Road, near where the street meets with Stuckey Avenue, according to the watch commander. The man was sent to the hospital for treatment. TPD said they do not believe there is a threat to the community. A second scene related to the shooting is at the 1200 block of McCaskill Avenue. Authorities were searching a home on that block for a potential suspect. Investigators have identified everyone involved in the incident and have determined that the suspect and victim knew each other. No arrests have been made at this time. This is a developing story. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Mecklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at mecklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with thunderstorms likely. Daytime highs approaching 70, winds out of the southeast 10 to 20 miles per hour. Overcast skies again tonight, thunderstorms likely, lows dip down to about 62. Slight chance for storms again. 3. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 67.
Have you been injured on I-10? I'm Dana Brooks of Facing Brooks Law Offices. We partnered with Roadproof to access all interstate traffic camera footage along I-10 from Pensacola to Jacksonville. Memories fade and witnesses disappear. Securing important video footage now can make sure your claim receives the full attention it deserves. Call us today and let us secure the proof you need to come back stronger. Facing Brooks, 850-777-7777. Offices Destin, Tallahassee, and Jacksonville.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The bungalow chung, Jeff?
Is that what is the pork?
The bungalow chung, Jeff.
Okay, the bungalow chungla. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of that nobody would know and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and North Side in the Village.
Points surrounding Hamilton. This is a program not going anywhere right now. That can be objectively true to say. It's also objectively true that Ham is has been a very good coach at FSU for a very long time. It's not an elite basketball program. It really never has been. And so it's when I say elite programs that sustain themselves year over year and invest and care deeply about being elite tend to be Kentucky, UCLA, Duke, programs like that tend to. They're invested in doing so. Florida State's never been that program. And so the inconsistencies will plague this program until they care enough to not have that happen. And look, we watched, Craig says he could never coach a team to the Final Four. Well, he did coach them to the Elite Eight. They're one win away from going to the Final Four, and they got robbed of the opportunity to do it with the best team that he ever fielded. I think he would have. He also won the ACC tournament. Also had the second best record in the ACC over a 5-year span at Florida State while competing against the likes of Duke, North Carolina, and others, Virginia, etc. So that's an asinine statement.
He
all
sucks,
that.
Jeff. He always sucked. He's never been good. Never a day in his life.
But it's okay to understand and be able to hold those things.
I just wonder if you're like Craig, do you get so mad when Leonard succeeds that you don't watch, or do you quietly smile to yourself and keep your mouth shut? Like, I wonder for those large swaths of time, what do you do? Do you go bowling when we're playing basketball, when we're kicking ass, because you don't want to admit that he's this thing that you said he could never be? I don't know.
There are fans of every sport, and professional, college, you name it, that live that way. Look, there are guys that I have an opinion about, and I express that opinion, and I'll say I think so and so is doing a poor job or isn't as good a coach as he's described to be, and then we will follow that up with a discussion of why. It's not like a blanket, If there's nuance to that discussion, you have to have it. You have to have the discussion in the gray area. So when I came up with the nickname Roll It Out There, Roy, for Roy Williams, am I to deny that Roy Williams won national championships, multiple national championships? No, he did. He did. So obviously Roy Williams can coach. You don't accidentally win national championships. But in his latter years, the reason I called him Roll It Out There, Roy, is the place recruited itself. You have some of the best players in the world flocking to your program. You should win at an alarming rate. I'll give you a good example right now. If we were to have a discussion about Izzo at Michigan State invests. Tom Izzo's record in the NCAA tournament is awesome. Look what he's done in his career. Why are they an 8 and 9 seed every year? What are we doing out there in the sorry-ass Big Ten that we got to be an 8 and 9 seed every year and be a pseudo-Cinderella and go on these runs when the tournament starts so that people fall back on they didn't have a very good year. I didn't even think they were going to get in. But Izzo, once they get to the tournament. Yeah, right. No, true. Once they get to the tournament, they destroy people. It's amazing. Makes you wonder why the hell they lost 14 games in the regular season. But it's a nuanced discussion. You have to acknowledge that Tournament Izzo is a beast. But why are we always sitting over here come signing day, or not signing day, Selection Sunday? Are we going, I don't know if they're going to get in. What are we doing during the season? It's a nuanced conversation.
No, it's not. Things are always absolute. I'm sure there was a guy in Boston that said for 20 years, Belichick sucks. He's the worst. He's the worst. If you say it for long enough, you're going to be right eventually. I'm sure there were people here or back down in Tallahassee in the early 90s. Bowden's trash. Never could coach a day in his life. Eventually, you're going to be right. Eventually, if they don't leave, if they don't retire at the pinnacle.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Belichick did suck, especially general manager Bill Belichick.
Well, there are facets of what Bill Belichick was in charge of that were terrible. And they're now, as you watch, suffering the consequences. Personnel is lacking.
It was all Brady.
In charge of personnel.
It was always all Brady. He knew he only needed 176 yards passing in that first Super Bowl.
But what's funny about that is like when you do, I read, as I've told you many times, it's a great book, Dave Halberstam's book, Education of a Coach. It's about Bill Belichick. It was written many, many, many years ago, long before he went on to become what many consider to be the greatest coach of all time. But, of course, he was fired from Cleveland, lest we forget. And people forget that, but they also forget that prior to that, he was also the mastermind behind the defense that the Giants played against the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl, in which they won a Super Bowl. So, and they were the underdog in that game. That was his defense. That's what he put together. You got to look at the totality of a guy's career, and there's nuance to that discussion. There are elements of what they do that isn't very good. Look, Bobby Bowden put together this dynasty that we talk about all the time. But were there aspects of his coaching that were lacking? Absolutely. Absolutely. And he would tell you that too. And that's why you surround yourself with people who are strong in the areas in which you are weak. There are very few people that have an elite level handle on every facet or aspect of a job.
One of my favorite memories as it relates to Coach Bowden's dynasty run is during COVID. I watched the 93 game start to finish for the first time. I knew about it as a kid. My dad woke me up in the middle of the night, said we won the national championship. But I was 6. Like, how much is a child like that going to be breaking down play by play? And as I watched the whole game, because there was nothing going on in the world 4 years ago, next day I came into the studio, and I feel bad because I made you relive it. I said, did anybody complain about his clock management?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. He was a
never
disaster.
touch the ball again. What are we doing?
No. It's. Listen, I complained a lot about aspects of Bowden's coaching, and there were glaring weaknesses to his coaching, that being one of them. Obviously, there were elite level strengths too. And you'd have to acknowledge, Tom, both.
Oh, of course. No doubt. Nobody is saying that the man's not a legend. I'm just saying that when I watched that game, I went, well, who is advising this strategy? Nebraska, you can keep the ball till the end of the game. Oh, my God. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's interesting. There are coaches that I adore who I've had, these moments where I'm watching them do something that drives me nuts that other coaches do. And you're like, oh, you're doing the thing that I hate, man. And I rip everybody for this. Now I got to come in here and rip you. And I love you. And damn you for that.
Here comes Bruce Arians with another terrible challenge. We're down a timeout.
Stop with that nonsense. Bruce Arians, that's another thing. As soon as he would do it, you probably look at your phone, right? Here it comes.
No,
What's this dumbass doing?
That one was a race to who texts first. That's what that was.
Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
Norvell Training Academy equips motivated athletes focused on baseball and softball with the specific tools to reach their true potential. Now, you'll read that if you go to their website, but I'm here to tell you that, look, whether it's your daughter wanting to play softball, your son wants to play baseball, or maybe they just want to have fun and get the most out of their abilities, and that's where Power Mill comes into play. They've got coaches and camps that teach for every level of play for your son or your daughter. To learn more, go to PowerMillSports.com. Social Kitchen is now open on Cary Forest Parkway near Ology Northside, Tallahassee's only premier market where you can receive the famed Snake River Farm steaks and premier meats. Social Kitchen also has chef-prepared meals and sides ready to serve in just under 20 minutes. Perfect for those very busy springtime weeks, weekends, you name it. Hosting some people at the house. Hey, Social Kitchen also has build-your-own charcuterie boards and catering. Stop in and visit Social Kitchen today or visit us online at socialkitchentlh.com. socialkitchentlh.com.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool.
Your heating and air conditioning system doesn't check with you before it takes a break. That's why we're always ready to help. Any day, anytime, anywhere. And with our annual service agreement, there are no overtime charges. Ever. At Verno Heating and Air, we will always be there for you.
Barry knows heating and air conditioning.
License CAC 1816186.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save.
Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Florida basketball today, they open up their run in the NCAA tournament as they take on Colorado, a game being played in Indianapolis. Florida is a 1.5-point favorite. The over-under at 158.5. Elsewhere today, Florida Atlantic, they are in Brooklyn playing in the East region as they match up against Northwestern. FAU favored by 3.5. The over-under at 143.5. And a tough matchup for Stetson, a 16 seed. They take on a 1 seed in UConn. UConn favored by 26.5. The over-under for that contest has been set at 145.5 as Stetson looks for their 23rd win of the season. For the latest odds all the time, visit vsin.com. I'm Matt Pauley. This has been your action update on Tallahassee's Real Talk station, Real Talk 93.3.
Join Macy's and Girls Inc. now during Women's History Month and help empower young women and girls. Throughout March, you can round up your in-store purchase to the nearest dollar or donate online to help us support Girls Inc. Since 2020, we've raised over $5.7 million to prepare 220,000 Girls Inc. participants to pursue their dreams. Give back today, shop women-owned brands, and find out how we're creating brighter futures for all at Macy's.com/purpose.
Hey, Mark, remember, getting help from Progressive is so easy. You can use the mobile app, chat with us online, or call us. And you pick now to tell me. I couldn't miss Little Grace's ballet recital. Oh, thanks for inviting me, by the way. Did I? Because you know I'm always here for you.
Yeah. I can use the mobile app if I need help. Sorry, you're in my wife's seat, though.
Oh, yeah, I gotta go anyway. Tell Grace she nailed her chassé.
Get the help you need from Progressive with our mobile app, online chat, or over the phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Ready for a breath of fresh air this tax season? Well, breathe easy with E&B Heating and Air. Don't miss out on federal tax incentives for new AC systems and heat pumps. Take advantage of up to $2,000 in tax credits, plus additional savings from city and manufacturer rebates. E&B Heating and Air Conditioning has been serving Tallahassee and surrounding areas since 1974. Call us today for your free estimate at 850-575-9119 or visit us online at enbheatandair.com. That's enbheatandair.com.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick, professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
Have you been injured on Interstate 10? I'm Jimmy Fasig of Fasig Brooks Law Offices. We've partnered with Roadproof to access all interstate traffic cameras along I-10 from Pensacola to Jacksonville. Let us help you get the proof you need to stand up for yourself and get fair compensation for your injuries. Call us today and let us secure the proof you need to come back stronger. Fasig Brooks, 850-777-7777. Offices Destin, Tallahassee, and Jacksonville.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff
talk with Ernie Sims, and he's in great spirits. Fun to watch, see him out there and being back with this program and working hard. By the way, if you wanted, we had some questions, Tom, in there about times and updates and all that. All of that is over there on the website, warchant.com. Bench press, for example, Trey Benson did 22, 23, something like that. Tatum Bethune did 19. Akeem Dent, 16. Kalen DeLoach, 23. Dimitri Emanuel, Big Meech, we had on the show recently, 21. Fabian Levitt, 26. Casey Roddick, 27. Robert Cooper, 21. Rashad Green was out there, by the way. We got a snap of Rashad. And then I'll get you updated on some of the other numbers as we go along. But it will be it'll be written about, certainly, and any report coming from that. I was not there today at Pro Day, but we had plenty of people out there from Warchant. So you go find it over there at warchant.com.
Yeah, one of the numbers specifically that Ira got, I don't know if you said it before the audio came on, was Akeem Dent. And Akeem Dent's 40 time was apparently in the high 4.3, low 4.4 range, which is great.
Doing some things, baby.
Yeah, that is awesome news because he wasn't invited to the combine. He's a long shot to get drafted at this point. Hopefully some teams saw some things that they liked today, so they bring him in for a personal workout. But if you're going to be running a 40 time in that range, and he does have the aptitude to play safety at a pretty high level, I would hope that maybe undrafted free agency might be a pathway into him making a roster. If that 40 time was a tenth or two slower, I don't know. You're probably looking at Canada or something else. But that will keep you in the conversation if you're around that 4.4 flat range.
He was 10.4 on the broad jump, 33.5-inch vertical. Most of the athletes out there today didn't do all of the things, so you may see partial scores and things of that ilk. You'll see a bench press, but you won't see a 40. You'll see a vertical, but you won't see a bench press or something like that. That can happen. Well, no, I think everybody pretty much bench press, but you get what I'm saying. It wasn't everything. By the way, the 10.4 on the broad jump for Akeem Dent would have been 7th best amongst safeties at the combine if you're looking for where he fit in. And obviously that 40 time is good. I don't know where exactly that would have sat with the safeties, but it wouldn't have been way down the list. I mean, if you're running 4.3 anything, you're moving. That's plenty fast. I'm rooting for him, man. He took a long time to come around and have a good year, but he finally did.
As a kid who saw a lot of dysfunction in this program as well. I mean, tons and tons of dysfunction, and he was moved around from position to position consistently in his career. Had an issue with the hands, but then the best games that Akeem played were legitimately good games in the lore of Florida State safeties, Florida State defensive backs. I think back to the Miami game, 4th and 14 was one of those where he played fantastic football that day. And he's had some other performances like that. And the best thing you could say about him, and this isn't a slight at all, is that when he was not on the field, you noticed him more when he was not on the field, because clearly he was doing a lot of things right in order for you.
Another guy that had to take his place and didn't do those things right at all.
100%. It's like offensive line play. If we're not talking about you, you're probably doing something good. Secondary plays like that. I mean, I remember the knock on Xavier Rhodes for the 2013 draft being, well, where are the PBUs? Where are the interceptions? Nobody threw the ball at him. That's why.
The same thing happened with Jalen Ramsey.
Yep.
Is that who you said?
No, I said Xavier Rhodes.
Yeah. Jalen Ramsey had the same thing happen. Remember, people were like, where are all the interceptions? Well, nobody's throwing the ball at him. They know better. This is what happens with lockdown corners in college. Once you got a guy that's going to dominate the matchup, people steer clear.
So I pulled it up real quick on NFL Combine's results page. If you're just looking at the safeties, because they do split it up in the Combine between corners and safeties, the fastest laser time was 4.41 for a safety. So
hey, there you go.
The third fastest is 4.45. So if his laser time is low 4.4s, it's top 3 speed with a top 10 broad jump. Well, okay, that'll play.
I'm rooting for him. Update real quick. Northwestern leads FAU 56-52. Good coach at FAU, could be bounced in round 1. Tournament's weird. You have a run for the ages a year ago, and now you may be bounced in round 1. We'll see. But this is the thing about a tournament, and I always remind folks of that. I'll give you updates on other scores there too. By the way, Tommy, doing all right now at the old Valspar Innisbrook Resort. I have both Mitchell and Justin Thomas. Thomas is at 5 under, 1 shot off the lead. Come on, baby. Let's go. Win daddy some money.
It's still so weird to me to think that they played Innisbrook because they could not get a PGA Tour event for the entirety of my childhood. They had the JCPenney Classic, which was the crossover event between the men and the women, and that's fine, but it's 10 minutes from where I grew up. Man, I didn't grow up in Jupiter around the likes of some of the great golf courses in this country and Orchids of Asia, which is where Robert Kraft went.
Great massage parlor.
I didn't live in that place. I lived in Palm Harbor, Florida. It's there's a lot of palms in Florida. West Palm, Palm Coast.
Yeah.
Palm Harbor is not like, the last bastion of great golf, but I'm proud of that event. I'm glad it keeps on kicking. I know this year apparently is the best field they've had too, which is interesting because, there's a lot of dudes that live.
Yeah. No, it's a good it's a fun course to watch golf be played at because it's hard. It's freaking really hard. And there's a lot of emphasis on where you miss, obviously, and obviously accuracy off the tee is paramount. Now, you could say that about a lot of courses, but I think golf fans understand what I'm talking about. There are courses you can spray it, and it doesn't hurt you. It's not nearly as penal. St. Andrews, for example, you can be 3 fairways over. You're just fine. But other courses, got to keep it between the lines, my man.
I've seen a quote or two over the years of pretty high caliber golfers who say that it's a great tune-up for Augusta because of the precision you must have.
Yeah,
not necessarily. It's a different
angles.
place.
Yeah.
Central Florida is different than Georgia, just east of Atlanta. I grant you. But just talking about, the angles, the undulations of the green, the landing areas on the greens, like all those kinds of things. And it was really cool. It had its own page in history that for Tiger's comeback in what preceded his Masters victory was this moment at Innisbrook in Palm Harbor, Florida, in a tournament he never plays, where on a Saturday he gets all the way up to the lead. And I was lucky enough to be there as he did it. He chipped in for birdie on either 10 or 11, and then he made the birdie putt on the next hole. And it's the first time he'd had the lead since this most recent issue. And he walked by me in that moment in the pink shirt. I'll never forget it. And you could see like a little wry smile. He's like, "I'm back, baby." And that was a really cool moment.
The meme that's going around, or the reel that's going around that somebody put out, I think I sent it to you, where, because Vince McMahon, everybody does the crying one where he's going like that. They have it when your grandson asks you, what was it like when Tiger won the 2019 Masters? You're like, oh.
Yeah, I just did it.
Can't do it.
It was a morning finish. It was a Sunday morning finish. The bad weather was coming in, so it was its own little thing. And you're rooting like crazy for him. I got 2 horses in the race. One is Brooks, one is Tiger. And Molinari kept on saving par from these ridiculous areas for 6 holes.
Until 15.
Well, he also 12. He messed up at 12.
12. Yeah, he messed up at 12 and 15, actually. Yeah.
Oh man, that was something. Yeah, I think they finished around like 1:00 in the afternoon.
We had all day to call each other and say, I really couldn't keep it together. I got to be honest with you there.
So our tradition, I won't be able to do it this year. I'm sad, but we'll get to watch Friday together after the golf tournament we have. I go to Corner Pocket because my wife had moved from Texas back to Florida, and the first thing we did, we didn't want to unpack. It was Master Sundays. Let's just go watch the Masters. So we went up to Corner Pocket to watch it, and that was the year that Sergio won in the playoff. And we had been there subsequently every year, and we're watching that morning, and there's this regular over there. He goes, "Hey, so are you really not rooting for Tiger?" I'm like, "No, I'm rooting for Tiger."
Yeah, everybody wanted to see
it.
Once he was in contention, you're like, "Oh, this could happen."
Yeah,
this could happen. Yeah, like when you got to that back 9, you're like, it's happening.
Well, and it had just happened the year prior at the British.
He was there.
He was right there. I was in London. We went to the casino in London. There are many of those. Sat down in the Heineken lounge, and they turn on the TV. I know I wasn't drinking Heineken, but they turn on the TV, and he's in the lead. Like, oh my God, what in the hell?
Like, come on.
That's the famous story where Jordan Spieth is cowering, and Michael Greller has to tell him why.
You're Jordan Spieth. Get it together. Yeah, that's funny. Real quick, one more observation I wanted to make about non-FSU stuff, and then I'll circle back to FSU because there was something on the boards here. The Heisenlinka law firm chat that I read, Tom, that I want to be able to mention here, circle back. But, okay, so this morning I spent a lot of time on the Ohtani stuff. And you and I talked about this yesterday and where this was going, and we were kind of joking around, right? This had a feeling of that interpreter and others in his camp may want to watch their health. We were a little worried about where this might go. There's a lot of
Don't put
money
him around a Boeing executive. That's correct.
That's correct, right? You know, the most shocking element of that story isn't the gambling debts of these people and the money stolen, which is a large sum and all of that. What in the hell? This is a classic case of it's good to know somebody who's really, 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 really good at something and call that person best friend. Because my man that allegedly stole the $4.5 million or asked for it or whatever it was that he did is the interpreter, a well-liked interpreter, apparently, according to the folks around Ohtani. He was being paid $500,000 a year to be an interpreter. You dumb SOB. How do you screw that job up? That is the greatest job. Over the years, we've pointed out, being the sideline guy holding the wire, getting paid six figures to be the get-back coach. I'll be a get-back coach all day. Coach, you got to get back. Coach, you got to get back. 6 figures? I get to stand on the sideline. Occasionally, I got to tell you to get back. 6 figures. We identify these great jobs in sports, and we go, oh, man, that's the job there. That's the job. Back in the day when it was more commonplace to have a third-string quarterback, I'd be like, well, hell yes. Sign me up to stand there and hold a clipboard with zero shot of ever playing. Unless you're the 49ers against the Eagles in a playoff game. Everybody's hurt. You got bums running out there and a guy with no shoulder. But, yeah, you're never going to play, and you get paid large sums of money. The rules in the NFL don't allow for you to crush long snappers. So you're not even going to get a hit when you snap the ball. You could be a 180-pound long snapper. Doesn't matter. You're good to go. And you get paid a lot. And damn it, man, there's a league minimum. If you stay in the league for 7 or 8 years, you're going to be a multimillionaire.
Correct. And if you can make 2 tackles a season, people think you're the best in the game because you get down there on the punt. We've got the best long snapper in the business.
It's crazy, right? I mean, but so yesterday in reading that story and then again this morning, I'm like, wait a minute, whoa. Did I see this correctly? My man was making $500,000 a year to say, he said he thought he got all of that one, but came up just short on the warning track. Now he says he's tired. Yep. Now he said he's going to go home and get some rest, eat a good meal, and come back to the ballpark tomorrow. Yeah, good. He says, good question. No, he's not going to be able to pitch this year. That's what he said. Man, I'm making $500,000 a year to do that. If you're making $500,000 a year to do that, you should also have to drive him. You should have to feed him. You should, like when we park, I would be like, hey, do you need me to wash your feet? I mean, $500,000 a year to be an interpreter? Well, sweet Jesus.
Through the relationships in Japan, you do basically act as though, yes, you're the personal assistant in all things, really. And you become the confidant and the best friend. It's the nature of the business, which is why he didn't do a damn thing. He is being paid $500,000 so that in case of emergency, he's the glass that they can break. There is no way. And the timeline of that is still so shaky. You got a spokesman for Ohtani whose initial response to questions was, well, Shohei was taking care of his friend's debts, followed by a recanting saying he knew nothing about it. Wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. He didn't know anything about these payments and these wire transfers. This is a massive fraud. It is theft and fraud of a certain kind, but not the kind that they want you to believe. There's going to have to be a mountain of evidence for me to believe that this guy was one rogue actor who ran up $4.5 million of gambling debts. It just couldn't be. Can't be.
This guy, I saw a tweet yesterday that cracked me up regarding this case, and it was Jeff Israel, I think is the guy's name. Welcome back to SportsCenter, presented by ESPN Bet. For more on the Ohtani situation, we go to our FanDuel MLB insider, Jeff Passan, at our DraftKings studio in Los Angeles, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. Jeff, how could something like this happen? That's well done. Really, really well done. But honestly, there's a lot of weird stuff here that is going to take a long time to parse. But I think we had it right yesterday, which is to say somebody's going down for this, and it's not going to be Ohtani. Whether he did it or not. Now, if he didn't do it, great. He shouldn't, and I don't want him to. Obviously, he's the face of baseball right now. And again, if he didn't bet on baseball, I don't care. But it's in there. He would be suspended regardless because you can't write that check for gambling debts, even if it's on, say, basketball.
Apparently, in the fog of this war, also one of the initial claims was that the translator didn't know that this was illegal, which that dude has lived in L.A. for decades. He knows what the difference between a sports book on a phone is versus an illegal bookie, because this is an illegal bookie. This is not an app that they ran up a bunch of debt to. You don't run up $4.5 million of debt on a phone app. Can't happen. So, yeah, the reason I am so suspicious is because they've already changed their story like 3 times in the first 2 hours of the reporting. If you go back and you look at the timeline, that is not a either that's the least buttoned up operation for the richest baseball player in history ever, and they're both acting at the same time, or there's something fishy going on.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, look, as of right now, the interpreter, you just have to find out, was he betting on sports other than baseball? Major League Baseball cannot take his or Ohtani's word on this. There'll have to be an investigation to find out if he, in fact, did bet on baseball at all. Or did he bet on something else? And was he the one making the bets, or was it Ohtani? And at this point, they're going to have to just figure this out in an investigation. And until we hear from Major League Baseball, there's really nothing any of us can do save for reading what the attorneys say and what the quotes are. And if you summarize this very quickly, and I'll make this brief because it could go longer, but the official story from Shohei Ohtani's attorneys is that Ohtani was the victim of a massive theft. Okay, that's where this started. That's the first thing we heard. Okay, so the statement didn't say, the attorney's statement did not say at the time who committed that theft or even how that theft was committed. Now, they accused later on Ms. Uhara of committing said theft in order to cover millions in gambling debts. That's the next thing that happened, that he incurred with Matthew Bauer, the Orange County, California bookie, who's under federal investigation. Okay, so that, for people who don't know, that's the crux of how this all started. Starts out as, hey, Ohtani's the victim of a theft and fraud. They don't say who. They don't say how. Then they name the guy. And then they say, well, this is who he owed the money to. They don't describe initially the mechanics of the theft, but they report then that it's $4.5 million in a wire transfer sent from Ohtani's bank to a bookmaker operation. So that's a problem. Now we have a problem here. This is a big problem. So, look, the attorneys, we don't know if it was it all a lump sum? I don't know. What, 4.5 million? Or was this over a long period of time, like many small ones? We don't know. Because, Tom, that would be a little bit more believable, right? That this was accrued over a long period of time in very small amounts.
It would bring into play, perhaps the possibility of a third party being involved if it was in smaller increments, sure.
Okay.
But what the LA Times has reported, and again, there have been, the guy has done a couple interviews, one of which was with Levitard and friends. But he said, we've been covering this for a long time because there was a gambling ring that involved, I think it might have been Puig. Like this, it goes
yes, Puig, that's correct. Yes.
So
yes.
It goes back years, and there was Ohtani's name was potentially tied to whatever that ring was. Even then, they're following it over this period of time. And then the way the reporter worded it was, because he was asked, "Do you buy it?" And he said, "Well, I can't speak on that. I mean, I have to run with what they say." Now, does that mean that's the end of the story? No. So that tells me that they are still either verifying or vetting or polishing up the language on whatever's coming next. And the retort to the Ohtani camp's official stance, which changed like twice already, will be the interesting thing. And I can't wait to read what it is. I'm totally fascinated.
Final thing on this, wire transfers, as we all know, it's not like DoorDash. This isn't as one writer put it yesterday, I can't remember who, it's not like Venmoing your weed dealer. This is a different deal. You cannot affect a wire transfer certainly not a multi-million-dollar one, without paperwork and verification. You can't effect a wire transfer on behalf of someone else without explicit authority to do so, which entails even more paperwork and authorization. So Ohtani either effected these transfers himself or gave Mizuhara authorization to do so, or Mizuhara committed a brazen, massive fraud via one transfer or many, and this will be something the investigators are able to get to the bottom of. I mean, that's just common sense. We're just talking out loud here. Like, you can't do that.
No. My guess is if he's going to take the fall, and they're going to claim, because they got to go the distance here. Like, he's either going to have to do time, or they're going to have to send him to a different country where they can't get him. And then Ipe is just like there. That's where he's going to be for the rest of his life. Can't go to America, can't go to Japan, just got to live in this third-party country for the rest of his life because he was Ohtani's fall guy, and it's understood. And it's almost like the end of one of the Batman movies where there might be a day where Ohtani's in that country, can't have contact with him, just gives him the nod.
They're eating lunch.
Back, and then they go their separate ways and roll credits.
Or it's like when Butch lost all his LA privileges.
you lost all your USA and Japan privileges.
That was a tough one for Butch, but at the end of the day, leaving LA after what had just happened seems like a reasonable request.
Got to get gone and stay gone, or else you're going to be gone.
Yeah, you hear me? Also, underrated part of that whole sequence of events in Pulp Fiction, the fat woman getting shot in the ass is still one of the best parts.
That's the so that, and you know what Tarantino did? Which is funny because now everybody has taken turns hating this particular logo, but she's wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt. She's got a Mickey Mouse shirt.
It's so perfect. It's just perfect. That's what you see at Disney World. That's who you see at Disney World, buddy.
Yeah.
Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV.
Oh, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Hit grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
You probably already know that Pinch a Penny Pools and Spas is your one-stop destination for all pool maintenance needs, offering everything you need from chemicals, cleaners, vacuums, nets, and more. But that's not all. Pinch a Penny also carries a huge selection of premium hot springs hot tubs paired with easy financing options, making these luxury hot tubs affordable for everyone. And if you have an older hot tub and you're worried about the hassle of removing it, worry no more. Pinch a Penny will not only remove and haul away your old hot tub, but also offer a trade-in value for a credit towards your new one. So why wait? Visit Pinch a Penny's 12,000 square foot showroom today on Greer Road and discover how effortless and affordable owning a fantastic hot tub can be. Find out more at TallahasseeHotSpring.com. That's TallahasseeHotSpring.com.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mnlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
Indulge in the authentic Korean way of grilling right at your table at the all-new Chow One Korean Steakhouse in Tallahassee. All-you-can-eat succulent beef, chicken, pork, and an amazing selection of fresh vegetables and homemade sauces crafted with all-natural ingredients in a luxurious, upscale dining environment. Chow One Korean Steakhouse. Experience the ultimate fusion of flavor and fun in Tallahassee. Enjoy happy hour from 4 to 7 daily. Located at 1107 Appalachia Parkway, just east of the Capitol Building.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com.
First, as always, let me remind you about my good buddy Adam Tolliver is a fellow Knoll. That's what Adam likes to be identified as, a fellow Knoll, Adam Tolliver, but also a financial expert, and he is. And we know the importance of scoring in the red zone, as we say, but you got to be prepared for the retirement red zone. The 5 years before and after you retire, critical times of planning, obviously, for you and your family. That's why you're going to hit up my man, Adam Tolliver, and his team at Artisan Financial Strategies. Look, rising healthcare costs, you got to protect yourself and your family. You may want to plan out what your legacy is going to be, all that stuff. You got to have enough money, obviously, to live out the rest of your life if you're retiring. They can help you at Artisan Financial Strategies plan out that future. And they have over 30-plus years of planning experience. All you do, if you want to know more, is go to knollretirement.com. That's all one word, knollretirement.com. Go check it out. Several of you already have. If you're in between, you're looking for a new place, and you want somebody very, very trustworthy, obviously, when it comes to money, you got to go to knollretirement.com. Cue it up.
Welcome to the majesty.
Every freaking rep.
The elegance.
To win the game. Golly, hits the upright. It's no good.
You have entered.
Someone burned down the funeral home. You burnt the funeral home.
Lives will be changed.
Sideline. Touchdown. Unbelievable.
Mothers will cry.
When you see your players give all that they have and you lose that way, it's tough.
Legacies are etched into eternity.
I know who I am.
North, South Dakota was his brother from West Virginia.
This is the Red Zone.
It's good to know.
All right, brother, what do we have for our Red Zone questions today? I didn't get a chance to talk to you beforehand. I'm kind of curious what your angle is.
It's all over the place. It's all over the place today. 3 questions, 3 different spheres of Florida State sports or non-sports. So we'll start with the first one. Will Florida State's legal proceedings with the ACC end before the 62-day event known as the ACC kickoff in July? What do you think?
No.
Okay, so that's interesting because in the first hour you sounded bullish, like this might be coming to a head, but you don't think it'll be.
I think it's coming to a head, but the law moves very slowly. Court system takes forever. We have a judge today saying that he'll have an answer in North Carolina before the April the 9th date that was on the calendar for Florida. So for that case, so I we'll see progress, but I don't think that it will be done.
All right. Second question is about Akeem Dent. We just talked about him and how if his 40 time is indeed under 4.4, he'd be the fastest safety in this class, in this draft class. So with that in mind, over under 0.5 non-garbage time snaps in the NFL for Akeem Dent. What do you think?
Oh, over. Yeah, I think he's going to play. I think he's going to make a team, and I think he's going to get significant snaps. So I don't know about significant. He's going to get snaps that matter. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I think he will. By the way, legacy helps too. If you have a father or anybody like that, or family members that have played in the league, or relatives of any kind, I think that oddly that plays a little bit in GM's minds.
Third question. FSU baseball and Clemson are a washout tonight. This is a PSA for the listeners.
I'm really pissed about that, by the way. I was so pumped for that game. So pumped.
It was supposed to be.
I hate doubleheaders, Tom. I hate them. I mean, I not as a fan, like going to them, but what they do to the nature of the series, I don't like it.
It was supposed to be an 8 o'clock first pitch tonight. It is now 1 o'clock tomorrow, doubleheader. The second game begins 60 minutes following the first game. So if you're trying to schedule out your day to watch Seminoles baseball, that's how it's going down. 1 p.m., 60 minutes after. So your confidence level that FSU wins the weekend series?
Oh, it's high. I think they're pitching well enough to take 2 of 3. Yeah. I don't like doubleheaders. It's very hard to sweep doubleheaders. I think after tomorrow it'll be 1-1, and we'll take the Sunday game.
I think it increases, actually, in a way, it increases the chances of there obviously not being a sweep one way or the other.
Sure.
The doubleheader. But it also puts you in position that if it goes chalk, you trade 1 for 1 tomorrow, that you're in a rubber game. And at that point, if we win the Sunday game, again, it doesn't matter. It's all about hosting a super regional later, but you're a top 5 team. You're a top 5 team in the country, just like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think they are. I think that's the quality of club that they are. I think that this is a good baseball team. Listen, we're going to encounter some rough waters at some point. Could be this weekend. Who knows? We know that when you play better caliber teams, the upper echelon of the ACC, by the way, the upper echelon of the ACC is very, very good. Whether you're talking about Clemson or Wake Forest or Duke or Virginia, there's a lot of good baseball in this conference. Not a lot of great basketball in this conference, but a lot of good baseball in this conference. So you're gonna somewhere along the way have a tough weekend. Let's hope it's not this weekend, but I think we're a real good baseball team.
All right, so a bonus question, because we usually do 4 downs. So here's the bonus question. They're going in shells tomorrow, so padless football is over. I think Mike Norvell said they might do it on Sunday after the spring game, like one more time where they don't wear any pads. The biggest winner, or the guy that comes to your name first as the most impressive in no pads, seeing 2 practices, is whom?
Oh, you know what, Dustin Hill. I said it at the beginning of the show. He's been lighting it up. He's killed just about everybody he's gone up against in one-on-ones. By the way, I don't want to – I mean, it happens. I don't think this is again, I don't think I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. You know who he torched on one of those plays? Azariah Thomas. So it's not like he was going up against a freshman. This wasn't Charles Lester III. I mean, he was torching a dude who, by the way, AZ's other reps have been really good. So I got to say, that seems like something that translates. A lot of the stuff we see out there with no pads doesn't always translate. Matchups between receivers and DBs do. That doesn't change much when you put the pads on.
DJU's performance against your knowledge of what he is going in. Is he about what you expected? A little bit, need some time in the offense. Is a little bit better. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's what I expected. He's got a cannon for an arm. We've seen those throws that are in there. He's missed a couple of guys that were wide open. We've seen those throws at every one of his stops. He's been, according to Mike and others that would know more than me in the locker room, he's been a very good leader. But we've been told that he's a good, hardworking kid who's smart. He wants to set the right tone. He's kind of been exactly what I thought he'd be. And he's getting to know the offense. I mean, imagine this is your first 2 days out there running this offense. So, we'll see. He'll get better as time goes on.
I'm out of questions. I had 2 bonus questions, but I figured I'd ask about DJ because he's winning over fans left and right. That interview yesterday, like his first one, when it was the newcomer interviews, you could tell he was kind of nervous, just getting to a place where, say the things you need to say. Yesterday, he was comfortable in his own skin. And I was listening to the clips, and actually my wife, Jamie, was within earshot, and she said, "Who is that?" I said, "That's DJ." She goes, "Oh, I like him." Like, just even already. So between he and Benson, I think you got yourself a connection of a couple of guys the fans are going to latch onto, because we're losing quite a few of those.
Go to NoelRetirement.com. You'll see when you do atop the banner there, building a winning game plan, scoring in the retirement red zone. There's a nice little video for you to watch to make smart decisions for you and your family. And then you can also join an email list so you can get a retirement readiness assessment. And so there's a lot there. You're not just going and seeing a picture of Adam. You're seeing what they do: financial planning, estate and legacy planning, risk management, investment management, business succession and exit strategies. All this stuff is there just by going to NoelRetirement.com. Do it today. Get that email. Get righted. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Attention Florida, are you a victim of an auto accident? We introduce our live chat sponsor, Hyson Leka Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Hyson Leka Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for a free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Hyson Leka Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now or visit HysonLekaLawFirm.com. Hyson Leka Law Firm, your advocate in times of need.
On scene, the driver of the box truck was transported to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital to be treated for minor injuries. The driver of the garbage truck was uninjured. For several hours, traffic was rerouted while emergency personnel worked the scene. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with thunderstorms likely. Daytime highs approaching 70, winds out of the southeast 10 to 20 miles per hour. Overcast skies again tonight. Thunderstorms likely. Lows dip down to about 62. Slight chance for storms again tomorrow, 73. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 68.
Did you know metal roofs' survivability far exceeds that of traditional shingle roofs? It's time to consider a metal roof from Metal Roofing Sales of Tallahassee. We provide the best quality, least expensive material and accessories in the area, as well as material pickup and delivery. Our painted panels qualify for the City of Tallahassee's low-interest Energy Star loan program also. And don't forget about our veteran and law enforcement discount. Give Metal Roofing Sales a call today at 536-9123, 536-9123.
So everybody knows, Eddie, that you are a spectacular cook. Of course they know that. If they go into Bumpa's, the food is always good. I mean, everything on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Everything at Gordo's is delicious. I always, of course, get the bungalow chungla, as I call it.
The Bonko Lechong, Jeff.
Is that what is the pork?
The Bonko Lechong, Jeff.
Okay, the Bonko Lechong. It's delicious. All these things, all the items, everything you do, a master cook. But, sir, I would ask you, what is a skill that you possess that you're particularly proud of, that nobody would know, and that you could share with us here?
Growing hair, Jeff. Growing hair.
You're an asshole. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news in
Attention, Florida. Are you a victim of an auto accident? We introduce our live chat sponsor. Of course, we've talked about them often. Hyson Lincoln Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Hyson Lincoln Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Hyson Lincoln Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now or visit HysonLincolnLawFirm.com. Hyson Lincoln Law Firm, your advocate in times of need. Offices, Tampa. Here's the nugget that I wanted to read, and I thought it was Tom, you'll raise an eyebrow here. Texas's most recent agreement to join the SEC, the version dated May 15th, 2023. This is the way it looks. The only redacted item in the agreement from the piece that I read is the dollar amount of the deposit application fee given to the SEC. Here we go. Notable provisions in the agreement. 1, ESPN will make a transition payment to Texas that shall pass through the SEC, which is above and beyond what ESPN was scheduled to pay the SEC. That payment should be made by July of 2024 through July of 2025. In essence, they're paying the fee that they had to pay to leave.
Oh, really? Well, what do you know? So the $50 million that they had to pay against future earnings isn't even paid by them at all. ESPN's going to pay for them.
Yep.
Now, I didn't even know that, and I was doing backflips just knowing that there was a number on this thing. When I felt that the moment that number came out, that we're going to be A-okay. It's just that the clock is ticking. We're getting out of here. It's faster than I thought, but I didn't know that ESPN would outright facilitate the money, meaning the SEC would facilitate the money to move them from the Big 12 to the SEC. That's very kind of them. How benevolent.
Yeah, I know. Pretty interesting, right? And also, by the way, the university and the Texas Attorney General deemed all of this too sensitive to fall into the hands of potential competitors. UCLA disclosed it paid the Big Ten a $15 million deposit, and likewise, Oregon disclosed a $7.5 million deposit with the Big Ten. No departing members of the Pac-12 paid deposits to the Big 12, with the University of Colorado receiving $2.5 million to sign as a bonus. And so you can get into this is kind of interesting. Texas will not receive any distributions from the SEC in the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Beyond travel expenses for participating in tournaments, the SEC will pay Texas a 16th share of any incremental college football playoff revenue received in 2024-2025 over that period. And then basically the Texas SEC agreement, that what's not found in that agreement, but found in the Big 12 and Big 10 new member agreements. Termination upon a material change in conference membership, warrant that the conference did not initiate communication with the university regarding membership, by the way. Warrant that the university is not under investigation by the NCAA, cap on travel expenses, et cetera, and borrowing against future media revenue distributions. So there you have it.
Did you hear about Colorado's television rights, though? They're not going to be broadcast at all. Colorado games, because Deion Sanders doesn't want to be in anybody else's homes. Coach Prime, they got to come to his house. So I don't think the games are going to be broadcast in any homes anywhere. He doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to be there.
Didn't hear that, Tom. Didn't hear that. But yeah,
okay.
Pretty fascinating. And when I read it, I thought I should share this on the show. People need to know the SEC is paying off the money that the Texas was going to owe, which I imagine, depending on what we have to pay, there'll be some help along the way as well.
One of the other exchanges that I saw again by Rohan on Twitter there between the attorneys and the judge today, the SEC was willing to disclose the amount of money it was paying to its member institutions. Like, this is part of Florida State's argument that, if the SEC is willing to allow that to not be redacted, and they're out in the open with ESPN saying, here's how much money we're giving to our member institutions, what is the ACC so afraid of? Why do we have to have all these redacted lines? What's the secrecy about?
I'm curious, the breaking point. It's got to be North Carolina, correct? When North Carolina says that they're going to sue the ACC, this is over? Meaning that at that point, if you're the other member institutions, don't you go to Jim Phillips and say, okay, now's the time to broker the deal to get the money that we need to be the conference that we're going to be when these teams leave, because they are leaving. And this is fruitless. We're made to look bad every time another team joins the roster of those that are suing us. Let's suggest a number and see if we can't get this worked out. I mean, that's where this has to be at this point. If Carolina, and judging by the language used from some of their higher-ups in the last 48 hours, if Carolina is going to now, I mean, it's the heart of the league. If they do it, doesn't the negotiation begin immediately?
Yeah, I would think so. I just, in moments like this, sorry, my mind wanders and it reflects on the Boston College athletic director's office and the phone that doesn't ring, except if one of the Christian brothers or Father Quinn has to come to check in for a meeting. Otherwise, the phone never rings. The athletic director is there saying, "Well, I hope we win the Bean Pot this year." Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here. Nobody's calling me, and let's just hope that we can collect checks, steady collect checks, and if we don't, hopefully we get a nice settlement check. That's literally what that athletic director is doing when it comes to moments like this. They're just watching and saying, wonder how long we get paid, wonder how long before I get noticed, and people realize I'm worthless.
Yeah, agreed. 77-65, your final. It went to overtime. Northwestern beat FAU. Meant to get that out there earlier. If you had FAU making noise in this tournament as they did a year ago, you're screwed. Other scores, just so you know, we've got Marquette trailing significantly. That's a 2-15 matchup. Marquette being the 2, trailing 41-33 to Western Kentucky. UAB and San Diego State getting after it 35-29. Just delayed over here for Stetson and Connecticut. Mentioned that final. Also, some of the other scores. Baylor beat Colgate 92-67. A bunch of games later today, and I'll be watching them. Come on, Auburn. I need you to step it up. Let's go, Colorado. Take out Florida. Need you to step it up. Texas A&M tonight against Nebraska. Need you to step it up. Daddy will cash that 5-team parlay and tell everybody to suck it. It's going to be beautiful.
You know what? Maybe I will watch some NCAA tournament with you tomorrow. Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll watch some hoops together.
We will, man. There's the tournament's fun. I agree with you, by the way. I don't fill out brackets anymore. If you are a bona fide gambler, why would you? Just bet on every game.
It's a better way to do it. It's a better way.
Yeah, you get the same sort of sense of urgency that you always got with a bracket, because you were looking at every game. You had an interest in every game because you picked every game, and you're in a pool with your friends or your parents or whomever it is, and you're like, oh, I got that one and Larry didn't. Screw you, Larry. But that's how that went. But now it's like, oh, no, I'm not in a pool with anybody. I'm betting every one of these games, and I'm betting the next round too and the one after that. This is going to be awesome.
So we know some people in the community, who like to wager on games. And one of our mutual friends, I asked yesterday, I said, hey, how'd it go in that first run? Because the unders were hitting left and right. And I've got another mutual friend who really loves overs, loves to bet overs. And so I said, was our over guy? Was he shopping? Because he'd be feeling it right now? And the response was no, but he had a 3-team parlay and it hit. I was like, ooh, well, he dodged a bullet, because if you love overs, yesterday, especially the early slate, was not for you.
Well, if Director Matthew had a microphone in front of him right now, he'd describe for you what happened in a bet that reminded me, involving the same program, Director Matthew, when Tom got screwed over by the Tennessee-Florida result on the football field one year. Matthew had the same thing happen, was all set to the under, and then for some reason in a lopsided affair, we're playing transition basketball in the waning seconds where points are being scored left and right. It's like, what is going on here? It's not a race. You're up big. Hold the ball. It's beautiful to watch these things play out.
90 plus yards 3 times, 90 plus yards, including a 4th down touchdown from the 10.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching the touchdown in the corner of the end zone and going, oh, no, Tom, because I knew the wager. And it's all fun and games when the guy has to sweat, but you don't root for your friends to actually lose bets. So when they scored on that long drive, I laughed. I was like, oh, well, Tom's probably just rolling his eyes because he's going to have to sweat a little bit, but no big deal. Then they scored again on another long drive, and I'm like, Well, now it's getting downright uncomfortable. If they get the ball back, he's going to be really, really angry and nervous. And then it happened.
So Mike Norvell was in the middle of one of those. It was the Wake Forest bowl game. This is the year before Penn State, where there's like 3 kicks at the buzzer because there are timeouts.
Oh, my God, I cracked up.
False starts.
I was on the other side. I was on the other side.
Oh, my God. Then he misses it. I think it was make, miss. Yeah.
Make, miss. Yes, it was make. Oh, timeout was called before. It was followed by make. Oh, timeout was called before, followed by miss. No timeout called.
I will always bet on Tennessee, Florida, though, because I have one of the great beats of all time where I had the under in the game. And I think it's 7-3 at half, and it might be 10-3 at the third quarter break. It's really low scoring. Fourth quarter, both teams go nuts. They go to overtime. Oh, my God. So this is the ultimate bad beat. The only way I can win it is a field goal walk-off or a touchdown walk-off beforehand. They get the Anthony Richardson throw. No extra point. Hit the under by, I think, a half a point or 2. So Florida, Tennessee is always going to be a banger if you like games that you just want to indiscriminately bet. Bet that game in September.
I see in the Heisen Legal Law Firm chat, as we're late in the game here, folks wanting to know like what that number would be. Briley astutely points out the problem is that the number has to be low enough that we'll say yes, but high enough to keep every marketable asset from paying it, leaving, and causing ESPN not to execute the extension in 225. I don't think ESPN is going to, and I believe this has all been decided. We'll see. The wrangling, the horse trading's already happened.
That's how I start my weekend.
I believe that ESPN college football playoff agreement was kind of wink, wink, nod, nod with Fox. Fox saying, okay, but we get FSU and Clemson. Yeah, that's it. That's all. Good work out of you. Have a great weekend. Be good, everybody. Peace.